Begins with an adventure film set not in the future, but in the past.
It's set in the past, all right. That moment in movie history between the introduction of horseback riding and the obsolescence of the brass brassiere, known as sword and sorcery. Our first movie is named Red Sonja, and this one gets the prize against some very tough competition as the single silliest sword and sorcery movie since The Black Shield of Falworth. This one is so inept there are times when it's actually fun, especially when the actors struggle through dialogue that sounds like they've already read the Mad Magazine parody of this film. The movie stars Bridget Nelson as Red Sonja, a woman warrior who embarks on a crusade to avenge the terrible deeds done to her by an evil queen. And in this scene, Arnold Schwarzenegger turns up to demonstrate that she'll never walk alone.
I will tell the future in your hands, Rosebud woman.
I know my future. You have none.
Look out,
Watch out, Sonja! I just love that. Later on, they fall in love, which is a little complicated, since she has taken a vow never to love a man who cannot defeat her in battle. And, as Arnold argues, not unreasonably, if he defeats her in battle, there's not going to be much left for him to love. Here's the big confrontation between the two women in the film, Red Sonja and Queen Gedren, played by Sandel Bergman.
You are a fool. We could have ruled the world together. Now I shall rule alone, and you will die for what you did to me. What I did. You slaughtered my parents like cattle. My brother, my sister. Vermin! What were their lives compared to this? You are mad. The talisman will destroy you.
It's been a long time since I've heard a line like, "You're mad, the talisman will destroy you." Meanwhile, they're dropping dirt directly in front of the lens.
Exactly.
You know, right there. It's inches away from the camera. It's supposed to be falling on them.
You know what I saw when I saw that scene? I was thinking, you know what? If they'd only had plastic surgery back then in the Middle Ages, the movie would have been over.
But how about her sister, my brother, my family? Not only did she wipe out her family, but she also killed her sister and her brother.
Yeah, but they were vermin.
Now that's really going to. There were times during this whole movie when it was so ridiculous that I really did think it might be a satire of sword and sorcery movies, just like Airplane took on Airport. I love that line that they have in the movie. Yeah. If you want to be a great swordsman, you must have a great sword. Very thoughtful. Also, the way the movie respects the single greatest unwritten law of sword and sorcery movies, which is that when the hero is surrounded by 3 dozen enemies, they always come at him one at a time. They get in line, once at a time, so he can pick them off, instead of they could all just jump on him and kill him, which, of course, they never do, because then the movie would be over, which would be too much to hope for.
Oh, and my favorite moment, I guess, but see, I didn't for a minute believe this was unintentionally funny. I thought this was just bad movie making, to be clear about that.
Well, it's a thin line.
No, I say that when you take a figure, a religious figure like a Buddha, and you place him, and this was, I mean, I don't mean any disrespect, but
I wonder how you're going to be able to describe this.
Well, let's put it this way. The Buddha in this film that they have near the camp looks like...
How does he look, James?
The Buddha looks like...
Now we know why he looks so contented, right?
Oh, I guess you got to see the movie. I don't want to say that because don't see the movie. The Buddha looks like he's going to the bathroom.
Thank you very much. Coming up next.
Called Sheena.
We've had a lot of bad movies this summer, but we haven't had as many totally ridiculous movies as we usually have, or at least that's what I thought until I saw Sheena, which is based on the old TV series, remember, with Irish McCallum as Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. The movie tells the story of a little blonde girl who grows up to rule an African tribe and speak the language of the elephants and talk to the zebras and make her own jungle clothing out of such crude and simple materials as you might find in a boutique in Malibu.
Right, North Beach Leather Company.
Then an American TV crew discovers Sheena and instantly takes her side during a period of revolution in the kingdom.
We're storytellers. With pictures, too. And baby, have we got a story here. I want you to take me to that Zambuli woman you busted out of jail.
The shaman. You want to see her?
Yeah, see, I know she didn't kill the king. Let me carry her own words back home with me, and I can prove it to the whole world.
You must think I'm a fool. Words are like the wind. They cannot be carried home.
They can.
You must think I'm a fool. Words are like the wind. They cannot be carried home.
Yeah, bugs me too. Listen, why don't you just take him to your shaman?
She's gone far ahead. You will have to take a long journey with me.
I'd love to.
He's a real ace investigative reporter for television. He never asks her a question like, Sheena, tell me, why are you the only member of your tribe who speaks with an American accent? Where did you learn to speak that way? That's Tanya Roberts as Sheena. She doesn't look like quite such an authentic jungle creature as Tarzan did at the beginning of the movie Greystoke, but maybe that's because her African Earth Mother is played by Elizabeth of Toro, who is one of the most famous fashion models in the world. And I guess that's maybe they use clay and things to make all of their wonderful eye makeup and mascara and so forth. That was Ted Wass as the handsome anchorman who falls in love with her. And I know what my favorite moment in this movie is. There's no contest. It comes after the anchorman has met this incredibly beautiful and bizarre creature who's been living in the jungle and swinging from one tree to another and talking to the animals and communicating. She holds her hands like this and communicates by ESP with the elephants, you know. Then they come and do whatever she wants.
Like she's got a headache or something.
Right. So what does this guy say? Something like, teach me how to talk to the elephants? No, he says, what I love to do is take you to Wall Street and show you the World Trade Center while we both eat peanuts. This is a really savvy guy, and it's a really bad movie.
All right, that's your favorite, worst moment in the movie. Here is mine. I mean, this is a dumb film, and that's okay, but it gets just too ridiculous when, in the climactic scene, they're up in an airplane, and it's a big battle. What comes to Sheena's rescue? An attack of killer flamingos. Weren't you just... I thought, no, they're not going to do this. They're not going to actually have the birds come in the cabin of the plane and attack, so you see long pink beaks attacking people. They did it. They actually did it. I was stunned.
I'll tell you something that amazed me even more, and that's the amount of nudity in this film.
Yes.
Now, this movie is PG,
right?
Not PG-13.
Right.
PG, and it is the only, I think, PG movie in history that could play directly on the Playboy channel. We see more of Tanya Roberts in this picture than...
Earlier on this show, we reviewed Ed Wood, a marvelous movie about a man who made sincerely awful pictures. Well, maybe Ed would have liked Rapa Nui, which is certainly goofy and assuredly awful, telling a fanciful adventure story about the natives of Easter Island in the South Pacific and the massive stone statues they erected there. The statues were created to appease the gods, and the building process was the means by which the island's leaders kept their subordinates in check. Here, build me a statue. Here's a conversation between two natives, Jason Scott Lee and Isai Morales, about the island's traditional religious beliefs.
There are no gods except the ones we make up. There's no spirit land. There's no Otu Matua coming back for us. There's nothing out there but sea.
In addition to the statue building, there's another island tradition that really forms the bulk of this movie, an inter-island race in which the winner becomes the master of the tribe. And there's a love story, a dumb one, between one of the racers, Jason Scott Lee, and a girl from the wrong side of the tracks, if they had tracks on Easter Island. She's played by Sandrine Holt. They can marry if he wins the race, and if she can stay in a cave for 6 months.
It's completely dark in the cave. You can't stand up, you can't move.
I'll do it if you'll swim.
Nothing works in this picture. The statues look fake. The race is ridiculous. They race to steal a bird egg and then have to bring it back unbroken, the kind of stunt that might work at a birthday party for 9-year-olds, but is laughable here. It's all a mess, and much to my surprise, Rapa Nui was produced in part by Kevin Costner and directed by his friend and sometimes colleague, Kevin Reynolds. Talented men, silly movie.
You know, Gene, I'm going to have to vote thumbs down on this one. I really am. But on the other hand, in the spirit of Ed Wood, there was just something to be said for a movie that has a line of dialogue such as, I'm busy. I've got chicken entrails to read.
I know, it's
That was a
strange.
great line. And also the whole mythology of the Cave of the White Virgin, where she has to go in there and stay in there for 6 months, and then this ridiculous race, and then, of course, they do everything wrong in order to drop the egg, and then the difference between the long ears and the short ears, and then the senile old king who's always, you know, kind of confused, and his advisor is shouting, saying, you know, now say, go, and he goes, go.
Yeah, and talking also sometimes in a very modern style,
really,
too.
you know, just push it a little bit more over the top, and this is Hot Shots Goes to the Pacific.
The 2 arms come apart. That means the strap is going to be put on.
Put your elbow down.
Here comes the guard with this, ladies.
I own you. Go bring them fingers down. Open your thumb.
Michael, we're going home as soon as this is over. On goes the strap.
Dad,
The strap is on there. Ladies and gentlemen, now they're locked right to the finish of the match.
Sylvester Stallone, a trucker trying to win an arm wrestling contest and win the respect of his long-lost son in Over the Top. One of 4 new movies we'll be reviewing this week, along with the video release of a classic Beatles film. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. The new Sylvester Stallone movie will not look very new, I'm afraid, to a lot of his fans. It has the same old formula as the Rocky movies. A long build-up and then the big climactic title fight. The only thing different this time is the sport, which is arm wrestling. Now, you may not have thought, and I may not have thought, that arm wrestling was a major league event anywhere outside of saloons, truck stops, and junior high school cafeterias. But this movie ends with the World Arm Wrestling Championship in a Las Vegas hotel. And I guess anything you can bet on, you can get a Las Vegas hotel to sponsor. As the movie begins, Stallone is a divorced father who hasn't seen his son in 10 years. Now the mother is dying and wants them to get together again soon, maybe for some fatherly advice like this.
Grandfather always said you were a loser. Now you're trying to make me one, and I hate you for it.
Mike, I don't care what your grandfather thinks about me, okay? All I care about is you. Now, you lost back there because you beat yourself. You let yourself get beat. I know you can do it. You're a special kid. You're my boy, do you understand? But you're also a spoiled, rich brat who's always had everything done for him. Now it's time to do for yourself, Mike, and you can do it. Because I'm telling you, the world meets nobody halfway. Do you understand what that means? If you want it, Mike, you gotta take it.
The kid's grandfather hates Stallone and steals the kid, and then this is how Stallone, a truck driver, turns up at the mansion to get his kid back. After that, Stallone needs a new truck, and he hopes to win one in a Vegas showdown against the other arm wrestling champs.
Right now, double or nothing. What do you say?
Just wait for Vegas.
Come on, let's do it now. I feel like kicking some ass.
Let's wait till Vegas, okay?
You ain't got a prayer in Vegas.
Of course, everything depends on the big tournament in Vegas, including winning the respect of his son. And one of the questions that I had all during this movie was why Stallone didn't haul off and belt that kid all the way across the room. Of course, you don't see him at his most obnoxious there. I didn't think I was going to find arm wrestling very thrilling in this movie, but I have to be honest and report that the championship matches are exciting, even though arm wrestling doesn't exactly have the speed and poetry of boxing, or for that matter, any other sport. The match is exciting, but the film is predictable, and once again, Stallone does not allow his movie wife to upstage him in a movie. This time she's played by Susan Blakely, and she has 2 dumb telephone scenes with nobody else in them, and then she dies off camera. Your mother is dead. Her only function is to set it up so that everything depends on Stallone proving that he loves his son. I would have liked this movie better if they'd forgotten about the wife and the son and the grandfather and Stallone, for that matter, and just concentrated on the arm wrestlers, who all seemed a lot more interesting than any of the main characters in the movie.
I just must reemphasize the kid. The kid plays a very large role. They know that they don't have a lot to show with arm wrestling. I mean, how many times can you go this way and this way? You know, I mean, it just isn't kind of that thrilling intrinsically of a sport. So, watch a metronome, you get the same effect. But the kid occupies probably 2/3 of the picture, and the kid is cloying, obnoxious, just not a good actor. It is totally predictable. The one trick you learn is that Stallone puts his hands here. Give me your hand. Remember he goes up like this. When he wins that way, wouldn't you think that some of the other guys would figure it out and they would try and get the advantage over the top? No.
Yeah, then you also always have some kind of an expertise gimmick at the end. For example, when their hands are so sweaty, they slip apart, so they have to bring out the strap.
Get them together.
You're thinking, gee, this is a whole lot of minutia about a sport that is itself nothing but minutia.
You got it.
Our next movie is Wild America, the story of three teenage brothers in the 1960s who buy a used movie camera and hit the road looking for footage of wild animals. The movie says it's based on the real-life adventures of the Stauffer family, whose members went on to produce the Wild America TV show. But I wish they just said it was fiction, because, frankly, there are adventures in this movie that I doubt ever happened.
Mark, get out of the way! What? No!
Then they go out west to what the movie calls the high country. That explains why there's snow on the ground in August. Well, there is snow up in the mountains, but on the other hand, things that are alive during the summertime climb down below the snow line so they can thaw out. That's what these rattlesnakes should have done.
Timber rattlers. They're drowning by the heat. Well, how do we get over them? I know.
The cave is filled with hibernating bears, in August, of course, who wake up. Well, either the bears are hibernating or they're not. Let's say they are. It's supposed to be the middle of summer. When does it get warm enough that they don't need to hibernate? Wild America is a film that means well, and children may enjoy its animal hijinks. The actors are likable, a lot of the photography is good to look at, but it all just plain seemed phony to me, as if they'd taken a nucleus of real events and inflated them into tall tales.
Yes, I will say that when the movie hits you with who these people really were, you're brought up short.
You thought it was a total fantasy?
Because of just what you said, which is that it doesn't seem real at any point. And again, little ones may enjoy it, but I sat there through much of the picture thinking, oh, come on, this is silly. There's another element. The treatment of the father. Why do the fathers have to be such jerks? Why do the fathers have to be the ones that don't want to let kids do anything? Why is it always that mom wants to? Can you understand that?
Oddly enough, I thought the father had a certain integrity. He loved his kids. He loved his kids. He wanted the best for them. He didn't know exactly what the best was.
He does come around. And again, the film almost saves itself toward the end. Almost. But it's just a cliche to make the father's instinctive response, no.
Gina, my dog this week is a fish called piranha. And how do you like this for an example of brilliant thinking? See, the government has this secret project to create a new breed of piranha fish that can live in salt or fresh water, can reproduce 3 times as fast as before, and can be a secret military weapon in the Cold War. But the fish are accidentally released into a river, and they start attacking innocent swimmers and families on vacation with their tiny little low-budget jaws. Well, my favorite scene is when a victim is in the water, being eaten alive by millions of piranha, and Kevin McCarthy comes to the rescue. Now, how does he come to the rescue? By diving into the water, naturally, and swimming toward the piranha. That's really great thinking, right? Next, they'll probably make a rip-off of the Towering Inferno, in which one guy jumps off the building and another guy jumps off to catch it.
I may not believe this, but I have just seen my first nudie karate film.
You're kidding.
No, I guess you'd call that genre chop sexy. The film is The Bod Squad. 5 nubile Western girls are sold into slavery in Asia, where they are bought and sexually abused by some Oriental bad guys. Wearing Fredericks of Osaka costumes, these women get off their feet in strange ways. For sex objects, their specialty, violent massage to the brain as they bump and grind their way to freedom. Most laughable is that one of the girls falls in love with a nice Oriental guy named Ho-Ho, a regular ding-dong, and a great moment in movie history comes when this girl says with a straight face to her boyfriend, I love you, Ho-Ho.
Well, ho-ho-ho, gee, maybe she's in love with the Jolly Green Giant.
Yes.
My final guilty pleasure is one of the silliest and goofiest and most ridiculous Hong Kong monster movies that has probably ever been made. It's a 1976 movie called Infra-Man, and it begins with an incredible chain of events as the civilized world is attacked by mutant men from the center of the earth. The mutants are controlled by a sadistic high priestess known as Princess Dragon Mom.
Either surrender to me or I'll destroy all humans. I've spoken. It's all the warning you're going to get from me. You'll be destroyed.
The mutant men look like they were assembled at the local plumbing factory. They have octopus arms and they leap around squealing with alarm. To meet the threat, the scientists create Infra-Man, a superhuman combination of brains, muscles, and built-in computer chips. Then it's a showdown for control of the Earth between Infra-Man and the Mutant Men, with Princess Dragon Mom calling the shots. When I was watching Infra-Man for the first time, I knew I was seeing some kind of berserk masterpiece. And when Princess Dragon Mom appeared, that's such a great character name, I knew I really had something special on my hands here. This is the kind of movie that happens when the lunatics take over the studio. I have no idea how or why Infra-Man was made, but there's never been another movie like it, and that may be a good thing. This is the perfect movie to watch on one of those occasions when you don't have a single thought in your head and you like it that way.
Actually, I think there was a film similar to it called Ultraman. But anyway,
rip-off, probably.
Yeah, no, I think that one came first. But here's the point. You've talked about this film for a long time. I never saw it. I screened it last night, and I must admit, it is ridiculous. And what I like about it is, first of all, the way Infra-Man gets his laser beams. I like laser beams, too. He has to go like that to shoot the laser. He just can't go like this. The other thing is, when he first comes on the screen, he always has to do 4 flips.
Yes, every time.
4 flips first. Why? And then one more thing.
And when if people are shooting at you, what would you do? Run for cover or do 4 flips?
Okay, one last quote that I love from the movie.
Okay.
The guy says, 10,000 people have been killed. And the scientist says, oh, I thought that was good.
Yeah, that's a nice moment.